Good evening. Hi, Stuti.
How are
So,
you?
very well. Thank you so much. And I would like to welcome you formally on this Chitter Chat. And like I have informed all the followers on Insta, so
Good.
keep tuned. We are going to have a lot of discussion with Stuti about her art, the work she is doing, and the way she is inspiring the entire world. So,
Mhm.
welcome once again, Stuti. We will just start with a chotu sa formal introduction by you and some of the work that you've been doing and inspiring everybody.
No, I'm not that inspiring, I guess, but
Yeah,
I've been trying to do some work with Say Hey to Art. This is a new venture I started during the lockdown, and basically I started it. Like I just had come back from Amsterdam pre-COVID, and over there I visited Van Gogh. So everybody's seen Van Gogh in Gurgaon these days. So
right,
it kind of hit me so bad that people don't support the artist when they are alive. People just support
right,
the artist and they have when it's of no use. When only the
right, right,
curators and the people who are just monetizing it are getting benefit out of it. So that
right.
was one thing. That was one core motivation for me to start this venture. And apart from this, I've always I started my career when I was 19. I could not get through the Indian education system. I could not get into biotechnology.
Mhm.
So, and somehow art just took me, it just claimed my profession and everything. So that's what
Right,
happened. And I kind of, I think the universe has been kind to me and I got a lot of opportunities just like that. But let's not generalize this.
right,
It also happened because there was a lot of background with me that I had. So background, I don't mean like I had somebody from the art world behind me, but
right,
background as in I was very good with science. So I had a lot of information on how to apply things to products, how to work
right,
with
right,
media, how what is the chemical composition of a lot of materials. So it was just natural to me to experiment with a lot of things, and it never was a challenge for me. So if you are really scared of using materials or something, it does not work like that. So you have to be
right,
there.
right, right,
And also, I think my generation was the first generation to start self-learning through YouTube. So I always say that I've learned through YouTube, especially the origami bit that I do now. Um,
right,
and YouTube was a free resource, still is, but it is way too cluttered and it's very difficult to find the right people to learn things from. Our time was easier. It was easy to learn things from YouTube. So I started taking origami workshops, and people liked it so much they asked me to develop interiors and decoration for them. So that's where my career started. So initially only I started, like that time I did not know how to price it or whatever. But
right, right.
dhire dhire you understand things. It's like that. So
So
that's been the journey so far.
that's so inspiring, Suti. You said you started working when you were very young, maybe age of 19, you said. What
Yeah.
motivated you to come to arts? You said art just pulled me, right? I know you will have a lot of
I
stories
was
about
left with
how did it go
nothing.
and all, but sorry?
I was left with nothing to see. I was left with nothing to do otherwise. So I was so focused on biotechnology.
Right,
And for whatever reasons, that time it was the first batch, there were not enough seats. We
right.
just had 30 seats all over India, and I had no clue that was the case.
Hmm.
So lots of things. And
Okay.
but I was always doing into art. I was doing something or the other. I was too much into sculpture. I love that. Then I got into origami. So for me, art was always about creating a product or creating something useful. So if you do a origami workshop with me, I don't teach those animals and like that's not my
Right,
thing.
right,
I
right.
usually teach how to design products. So I teach
Very
how
nice.
to design packaging. I teach how to design a box. I teach how to price a box, how to calculate the materials involved, what kind of investment in terms of time that you have to give to a product. And secondly,
Right,
also how to do mass productions. So it's not just about, making one or two things, but it is also, if you get a proper order, how will you produce it? It's not practically
Right.
possible to sit and fold 500 boxes.
In fact, these are some of the things I'm going to talk about today because I know
Yeah.
बहुत बार जो हमारे आर्टिस्ट हैं ना जो स्किलफुल लोग हैं दे आर नॉट एबल टू put it in a very constructive way, so to say.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
able to monetize it, right? But what I heard from you is actually how do you change the art of or how do you change the skill into a business? I think that is what we have to learn from you. So maybe tell us how do you suggest the new artists, the new people who are into this building of skill. It could be any skill, but most of the time
Yeah,
they're not
yeah.
able to monetize it. So what
Correct.
suggestions will you give?
So I think step one is to be really good at your skill. Really,
Right.
really good at it.
Right.
So with art, I think the best, even if you see what Instagram and algorithms and everything, all that apart, but
Yes.
if you have to make business out of it, it does not matter whether you have 10 likes or 20 or 2000 likes on your post. But what matters is how good is the quality. So if
Right.
suppose, Gaurav, if you wanted to get a logo done and you were looking
Right.
at a typography logo, so you might not want a calligrapher, or you might not want a typing artist. You might want a lettering artist. So,
Right.
so
Right.
when you are looking at so many profiles, you will not see that this person has 2 likes or 25,000 likes. You will see whether this resonates with you or not. How professional does it look? And how relevant is it to you? So those things. So that is, I think, very important. That first of all, work on your skill. Don't be in a hurry to monetize. But if you get an opportunity, at whatever stage you are, you should always, look, seek out help if you want it. But जो उस time पे ठीक लग रहा है, just follow your heart and do it. So
Right.
my
Right.
career
And
started with not saying no to things. So whenever I got a order, so like the first order that I got was a 6 feet lampshade made out of paper. So I somehow managed and I sold it. Yes, the
right.
pricing was not right. The payment terms were not correct at that moment. Lots of things. So that was a learning process for me. But everybody goes through this learning curve. It's not something by the book. You can't. You will have to see how your process resonates with your accounting also. I think that is also very important.
Yeah, I think you're bringing two very, very important points, Stuti. I have also been a business blaster coach, and I am also a huge advocate of building skills and talking about skills. So when I talk to students about आप coding सीख लीजिए, आप artificial intelligence सीख लीजिए, I also tell them everybody is not going to be a coder. So there is
Yeah.
somebody who's going to be on the screen looking at how the customer will look at. So what will be the customer point of view? There'll be somebody who will be designing the entire website. There'll be
Correct.
somebody who's looking at the customer experience part of it.
Correct.
So I think all that has to be built together. And I think it's the similar way when you say you have to be good at what you're doing. And no matter you become a part of that ecosystem. I think second
Correct. And
interesting point, Jay.
yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about my process. What happened with me was like when I was in that phase of understanding which artwork to follow, what art form to learn, kya karo, kaise karo. So that phase of exploration is also very important.
Yes,
Until you
absolutely.
find your fit, you need to find your fit. So I was never happy doing sketching, honestly, because मुझे
Right.
लगता था क्या कर रहे हैं, क्यों कर रहे हैं. It is a very important skill. I'm not speaking against the skill, but what I'm saying is it did not work for me. For me, what gave me satisfaction was a big 3D model. ऐसे ऐसे जब तक मेरे सामने ऐसे कुछ दिखता नहीं था, मुझे मजा नहीं आता था.
Right.
So those things. And so like now, if you must have seen, I've been doing calligraphy these days.
Yes.
So calligraphy, what sparked me? It sparked me like I was at the launch of an event of Creative Indians, if you must have seen that on Netflix. So
Yes.
Creative Indians say this Inku sir, Guruji, he was today it's his birthday, so happy birthday, sir. And he was doing just some random calligraphy, and that day I was like, wow, ये तो बड़ी कमाल की चीज़ है. And so I followed him up for I don't know how long, and then he finally launched his courses. So I started learning from him. So first of all, I think it's also good to be open to new ideas. You don't have to get stuck to something. But now, like my calligraphy skill has helped me so much that with origami, I've started doing calligraphy on it. So it's a new product. So
Right.
see, culmination of two skills and how to get them on the right platform is also very important.
Right. I think you're also highlighting that skill is a very very unique process, right? One
It
person
takes
who's
time,
skillful
it
at
takes a lot
one
of
piece
life.
could also be skillful in the other piece. And how do you bring it together, and how do you make a product out of it? And I think how do you make a product out of it, and how do you also market it is also very important, right? So
Very important.
since we are saying monetization of the product and monetization of your skill, you have to create your entire ecosystem like an
It
entrepreneur,
is a full ecosystem, correct.
right? So आप product बना भी रहे हैं, design भी कर रहे हैं. Sometimes I also feel you are amending it. I mean, amending is not the right word. Maybe also.
Innovating.
I'm
Innovating.
sorry. Yeah, of course.
Innovating.
Innovating the product or the services or whatever as an entrepreneur, and then you're also taking it to the last mile with the customer and saying, here's a product, this is what you can do with it, and then you go, right?
Yeah.
So how do you, I mean, what advice will you, yeah, sorry, please.
No, carry on.
Yeah, so my question was, how would you advise the young or maybe people who have been seasoned in the skill business to tell them, how do you bring about this culmination of different skills? How should they
See,
culminate? Because
culmination of skills is a very tertiary quote, like it's a very useless thing to vibe. So you can just be good at one thing, but you have to
right,
be really good at it. I will always suggest that you focus on your thing. So my skill is not my skill. I say my skill is to be able to learn new things. I never say that
right,
I'm a calligrapher or an origami artist, because if I start doing that, it will not end. So my skill lies in the fact that I am an explorer and I like to experiment with new things. So even if you see my actual calligraphy style, it's very experimental. I will try to do things with different medias, with different tools, with a tree branch or whatever. So that's my way of conveying my expression. So, and also, skills are there are two types of skills. So one is art and aesthetic based, and one is your communication, marketing, and the other gamut of skills that you require. So you could be very good at what you do, but if you don't know how to explain it to the client, and if you can't build that confidence with the clientele that I can deliver what you are thinking. So this
right, absolutely,
it's also more about being able to understand what the client needs. So I remember I got
right,
a logo project when I actually got, I'd set up my own business and do brand design and everything. So I got my first logo project. That was a massive project for a very good brand. And the client was persistently asking me, what is your style? Which style
right,
of logo do you design? आप क्या करते हो? ये है, वो है. So I told him, मैंने कहा, I don't design as for me. I will just translate what you want in your logo. So
right,
if
right,
you are a brand who is selling shoes and you are asking me for a portfolio which has only food brands, how will that help you? It will
right,
not.
absolutely,
But you have to trust I think with design and art, what works is how do you understand the client's perspective?
right,
So as a design strategist, my job actually is to tell the person that this kind of design is the right fit for you for this project. So you can't have two design crises. So if you are selling something which is like a campus shoe and you make it look like Nike, people will not understand it. It's
right,
a different audience.
right,
So they understand different price points. They understand different qualities. So you can't compare the two things. Both the brands are doing great, but you have to see what is working for your audience and who is your target customer. So as a designer, I think this is the most primemost thing that you have to work on to understand the project. Skill थोड़ा बहुत ऊपर नीचे चल जाता है.
but also your adaptability to the listening of what the client wants you to do is very important, right?
It is
So
very
I
important.
I also had this question, Sati, and looking at your work and your experience and your versatility. So there are a lot of students and people who are in the mainstream right now, right? And they want to get into art, right? What suggestions will you have for them, or maybe some strategies that you feel? Because I remember we just spoke some time back, and we were discussing about for a person who's been a professional, maybe a doctor or an engineer. This guy has a lot of load in his brain that he has to perform, go out and do so many other things. But
Yeah.
this guy who's also skillful and wants to get into mainstream, business, what suggestions will you have for them?
So first suggestion is never leave your job, never quit
Right.
your income. Please don't do that. People who ask you to go for it, please don't listen to them. It's all not required, honestly.
Right.
You don't have to screw your mental health to get into art. So first of
Right.
all, keep your finances stable. And if you want to get into art, yes, you will have to maybe quit some parts of your job, go a little easy on yourself, but do have that stable income. Never, I will not advise anybody to just go broke and then become a poor artist and try to do that struggle. It's not really required these days.
Right.
Secondly, now you have a very big tool in your life, which is the internet. So internet is such a great tool that you don't really need to be off the grid.
Right.
Even if taking out 1 week, once 1 day in a whole week, you can just keep 5 hours, make content for the whole week, and at least start showcasing. So first
Right.
things, I think the client, if somebody is wanting to find you, first of all, give them some place to find you. You can't be in your head and imagine people will find you. That does not work. So be there, ask people for reviews, go on Google, put up a location, put up some work, show people. You'll have to be present. That is, I think, the first and the foremost thing that you need to do if you have a skill. Secondly, you need to connect. Connect, go physically on events, meet people, understand what they do. Sometimes you are a right fit for the person you just met, right?
Right.
So it's also your conversational ability on keeping the conversation. Secondly, I would suggest that travel a lot, because traveling gives you experiences which you will not get otherwise. You will
I
meet
remember,
much.
and we were also discussing about how traveling gives you a lot more learning than any other book, right? And
Correct, correct,
uh,
correct.
there was
You
this
get to
quote that I
experience so
saw.
many things hands-on, which can't be attributed to anything else. So that is,
Right.
I think, a very important chapter of life. So everybody should explore
Right.
and
So
taste.
you learn so much by so many. You learn
Yeah,
so much by so many different things around you. You meet
correct.
people and then you learn from them, and it becomes very important.
Yeah.
Okay, so any maybe do you want to share any success stories? Like you said, you had this product where it was a 6 feet tall lamp that you had to design. Maybe
Yeah.
if you want to share some success stories with us, how your
All
creative
stories are
ideas.
success stories. All stories are success stories.
Right, right,
But I think the real success is that you woke up today and you did one new thing. That is all I advocate all the time. That so suppose you want to learn calligraphy. So it's not important that you learn a whole script today. You can just write the letter A today.
right.
That's it. That is also, I think, the biggest success story. And if you can do it consistently, you will land up somewhere. Do things mindfully is the second thing. Like, don't do it just because somebody else is doing it. Do it because you want to love it or you love it already. So
Right.
so figure out your own thing and invest time on it consistently. So I think that's the major thing that people need to do.
Great. And anything that you want all of us to be cautioned about while being in this business, because
Payment terms.
you yeah.
Payment terms.
Right, right, right.
Outright
People are
correct.
people are
Yeah.
very. I mean, I don't know what word to use, but yeah, I think you put it rightly on the spot. Be very, very
Yeah. It's payment
particular about
terms.
the payment.
So I think if you need to start your own business, first skill you need to learn is how to make contracts, how to make invoices, and sorry. So how to make contracts, how to make invoices, and how to talk to people, and how to bifurcate your payment terms. I think that's the most important thing that you need to do if you want to do your own thing. Otherwise, it's a safe call. Join an artist and intern with them for a while.
Right. Yeah, I think that is also very important because you also learn how to deal with people, how to deal with monetary things.
Working under anybody will never teach you how to deal with people. For that, you really need to deal with people.
Mm-hmm.
I have there have been a lot of interns who worked with me, but what I have seen is a pattern. Like maybe it's because they are very young and they're so underconfident or overconfident. But if you have to handle anything independently, you need to have your brains into that process. So it's not about, the mentor is just giving you insights, and you're not doing anything, you're not processing, then it's of no use. So you need to be very discerning about, how people are dealing with it. Why do you want to go through the same process, make the same mistakes? If you have a mentor, just be happy and be blessed that somebody is there to guide you up.
Right. I think also when you are a part of that ecosystem, you also learn by doing things, learn by observing, learn by being a part of that ecosystem. So maybe like you said, being an intern is a good idea, but you will have to have your first-hand experiences, right?
Of course, you need all your experiences. You can't learn from my experiences. I can give you insights, but you'll have to go through it. So don't be afraid of going through it.
अगर तैरना सीखना है तो पानी में उतरना ही पड़ेगा, right? You can't just learn swimming without getting down in the water. Okay, I think a lot of important things that
once you learn to swim, it's not. It's highly advisable that you go scuba and you do the exploration.
Right.
So just don't stick to learning to swim in a pool. So then.
Right. I'm also going to leave maybe some time for the audience to ask questions. So I have at least 4 or 5 people who are watching us live, and then
we had one question. Somebody just wrote. No, there was one question. I had sent it to you. It's on your WhatsApp. Yeah.
Give me a second.
I think it was talking about the peripheral skills that one needs to have to be a art entrepreneur. I think that was
sure. Would you like to answer it?
Peripheral skills. Number one is you need to understand one thing, that you will have to sell your art. So it's not your baby. Right. So first of all, make art with all your soul and everything, but be detached from it. It's not something that you own. It is for somebody else. So people are saying they get too attached to things that they make with hand. So I don't know. Personally, for me, it never was a challenge. Like I always felt that I have translated your vision and I gifted it to you. So whatever that is how I have functioned so far. So it has never bothered me, कि उसने logo change करा लिया, उसने artwork फेंक दिया, या they did not put it in their house, whatever. So whatsoever has happened, that has never affected me emotionally. Right. So I think this is also one bit of being an art entrepreneur that you need to understand. Secondly, when it comes to money, don't underprice yourself.
Right.
Okay, and don't overprice either. You just need to understand what will fit for you. So if I'm somebody who's working in, suppose, Delhi. So in Delhi, the cost of living is very high. So you will have to price yourself according to being in Delhi. But if living in a little smaller town and where the cost of living is not so high, so charge as per your thing. And also you need to scale your charges and pricing and everything. So pricing is actually a very big topic which we can't do in an Insta Live. But a little basics, like you need to understand and never forget to calculate the cost of wastage and your human hours put into.
Right. So I think a lot of artists also don't calculate the opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost, sales cost, finding the client cost, networking cost.
Right.
There are a lot of things that people don't Like, I'm not asking you to calculate so many things, but there has to be a certain percentage that you should give for the next order as well. So
Right.
if you've made a project and you are not being able to sell it further, there is something wrong.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
have to be in that circulation, meaning your marketing was not sufficient. And marketing, it should not be a blind arrow. It should be a pinpointed, targeted audience. You have to figure out who you want to work with. And you first of all, now I started, like, after 15 years of working, now I do a client orientation meeting before taking the order.
Right.
Because my projects are usually long-term projects. So if I don't feel that we are a good fit, we will not take the project.
Right.
There is no point in taking a project which you can't, like, do justice to, or you can't take it through. So that is also very important. So understand, it's not important to say yes to every project. ठीक है, I have done that. I have honestly done that.
Right.
I did not say no to anything. And sometimes I got really bad spots, like I had no luck, but किया, मतलब हो गया, but luckily. But the thing is, now I've understood that sometimes it's always better to reference the right person for it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Would
so
we
these
be able
things are
to
very
see
important.
some of your work, Stuti, today on the call?
Work, so I did not keep anything here. Today I'm at home. Today the studio is off. But you can see my photographs here. These are some of the photographs I've clicked. And
Wow. So all the viewers who are watching us right now and maybe, will join us a little later through our channel, they could actually ping you directly and, get to know more about your work, what kind of work you do. And
one simple thing that I want to tell everybody, that if you think people don't respond and you don't ask the right question, I think something is wrong with your question. So if you are asking for advice, help or anything, ask it like help. Don't impose on the person that the person has to, cook up a whole story to explain a simple concept to you. Ask a good, relevant and a direct question. Don't do that good morning, hi man, it's not required. You ask me a proper question, you'll get a proper answer. But please make sure that your question is not vague. You don't have to ask me, ma'am, how do I price? How will I tell you how do you price? You have to tell me that you spend these many hours, this is your portfolio, these are the kind of clients you worked with, this is the cost of materials. You give me the details and then I will immediately reply. So these are things that people need to learn as a part of their communication skills, that your question needs to be super relevant.
Right. And absolutely, I work with a lot of schools here in India and UAE and Singapore, and this is one essential part of the skill building that I always tell, that one, you have to build your skill in such a way that no matter if you're a best doctor, if you're a best engineer, if you're a best artist, but if you cannot tell what is in your head, and you cannot share it with, so then it's of no use. And once you're able to do it, trust me, there are a whole lot of arenas that will open for you, because then you're open to listening as well as you're open to sharing with with the people around you.
And also, one last thing that I would like to say is that each of you, including us, all of us are very unique because of our own experiences. So you cannot get into a phase that, because I learned this very late in life, that referencing is happier as a process. The client also stays happy because they've reached the right person, they got the job done. They're happy to keep the relationship with you. So the value of that relationship is much, much higher than your one monetary transaction. So these things are very important, like small things, but very, very important. Hi, Bindu ma'am.
Okay. So, any last piece of advice that you'd like to share apart from your skills and what you've been doing as an entrepreneur? Because I feel entrepreneurship also is a very important sector in what we spoke today. So, being an artist, being a skill, and any piece of information that you'd like to share as an entrepreneur.
See, as an artist, I don't know if I'm an artist. Still, I'm still exploring. But as an entrepreneur, I would like to say the hustle never ends. You work 24/7. You have to work 24/7. So if you don't have that spirit, please don't get into it.
Yeah,
But
I
if
think
you do,
I
yeah,
second that to an extent that,
yeah,
you have to
yeah,
be there to be able to feel it every day, every hour,
every single
and
day.
you have to innovate it every day, like you've been doing,
Yeah,
right? Like one product to another product, one thing to another thing,
yeah.
and how do you? I think
So,
it's a never-ending journey for an entrepreneur.
I'll give you one quick example. So I did launch a set of professional sketchbooks. So now
Right,
I was just flipping through Amazon and everything. Now the problem that happened that I did not have a packaging. So I designed the whole packaging for my product. In
right,
Corona,
right,
we were all very well, right? So I
right.
designed a whole packaging. And today I would honestly tell you my packaging sells more than the sketch.
Wow, very nice.
So
Great.
when I was making that product, I realized that there is, matlab, I searched for it online, of course, that, I'll just take it and I'll wrap it and send it. But I could
Right,
not find a single product that justified my product. मतलब लगता ही नहीं था कुछ presentation ही नहीं है, कैसे पहुंच रहा है. So the
right,
first touch points. So if you're an entrepreneur and especially a product-based person, your touch points are very important. Touch point being your packaging. That is the
right,
first thing a person will touch when they receive your product, right? Your social media presence. So you can't be nasty with your social media. So I am
right,
personally very experimental. So my rose, I will put something new. Sometimes I'm posting a sculpture. Sometimes I'm doing something. Sometimes there is a collaboration. But the point of my social media is not to showcase my work. It's to showcase people who are trying to do things in art. So
right.
that's how it works for me. So, but
And I think
again, yeah,
both as an artist, as a skilled person, and as an entrepreneur, you need to improvise things on a daily basis, right?
every day, every single day.
Right, and that itself is a very huge quality of being an artist and an entrepreneur. So brilliant! Thank you so much. We got so many ideas from you. And Skill Diya Galla is a channel where we talk about skills, where we want to have more and more people who share their experience and who also learn from people around them. Like
Correct.
your story has been very very inspirational. Like from where you started and how do you actually talk about concrete ideas of ये मेरा art है, ये मेरा skill है, इसको monetize कैसा करना है?
See,
What are some of the challenges that you face?
correct. I'll also just give you one new thing that I launched. So
Sure.
normally a lot of people are teaching brush calligraphy. So
Right,
in my course, I'm not trying to teach you, obviously I will teach you brush calligraphy, but one important part of the course is where I am launching a product with you. So
right,
you do your art and I will help you launch the product that you want. So,
right,
it's more of an exposure based experience that learning a skill is one bit of it, but second bit of it is that you just have to place it on a product, see what the process is. Because so many times I've seen people don't understand the process of, getting their skill on a product. So
right,
this product skill development is something I'm trying to work on. So I'm
right.
launching quite a few courses where people can, launch their products and see the whole process.
Yeah, so absolutely. For the new products and for all the other offerings that you have, they can visit your page, they can follow you, and I know you're very, very experimental. You're very innovative, so you will keep us all engaged and keep showing the new work that you're doing. Thank you so much, Stuti, for joining us. And Chil Diya Galla obviously is a channel where anybody could participate. If anybody feels that they would want to share their story. I mean, I always say stories are stories. Doesn't have to be success stories or whatever stories, but we all human beings
There is
learn so
a
much from this
message
story.
I see here.
Yeah,
I decor from homes. It says, but sometimes it's a struggle and challenging to post new things.
right,
See, honestly, you'll have to be present. You can't run a business without being present. I think 80% of my business is active because I am present. People do respect my space. They would not call me for certain
right.
hours and all. But you have to be present for your customers. You have to be prompt. You have to reply. You can't escape from all this. Otherwise, run a passive income business. That's also a great business to do where you don't have to talk to people, but you just have to make a product that will talk to people. So there are a lot of things you can do if you don't want people dealing, but again, you have to be very sincere with your business.
Right. Great. Thank you so much for your time today, Stuti. And all the viewers who are watching us right now, or maybe would be watching us a little later through our channel, You can join Kill the Agala, you can join Say Hey to Heart, and we would be there to interview you, to talk to you, to share our experience. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right.
As a
Bye,
pleasure.
Gaurav. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. All
Thank you.
right. Bye bye.